Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're diving into a philosophy that, well, it really challenges the very foundation of how many of us were taught to view money and success.
Oh, yeah. We're talking about the core ideas in Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Exactly. This deep dive isn't about, getting a list of stock picks or anything like that.
No, not at all.
It's about understanding the profound psychological shift, really, that's required to move from working for money to,
Yeah.
well, to having money work for you.
And that mental shift is, that's the hardest part. The source material we have lays out 7 key lessons that are all focused on this paradigm change.
So what's our mission here?
Our mission is to really strip away the fluff and uncover the specific experiences Kiyosaki used to illustrate this whole transition, especially that crucial distinction between assets and liabilities and, most importantly, the strategy for getting out of what he famously calls the rat race.
And it all kicks off with this one incident, right, when he's a kid.
Yeah, young Robert and his friend Mike, they want to know how to get rich because they're feeling, left out by some of their wealthier friends.
And right away, you see this huge contrast in the advice they get.
It's such a stark comparison between the two father figures. You got the poor dad, who's highly educated, a government employee, seems financially secure, but is always, always worried about money.
His advice is what we all hear, right? Study hard, get good grades.
Find a safe, secure job. Exactly. The conventional path.
And then there's the rich dad.
Right. Mike's father,
Yeah.
a business owner who never even finished 8th grade, but who offers this completely non-traditional education based on direct and sometimes pretty grueling experience.
Yeah, the lesson wasn't happening in a classroom. It almost felt like exploitation at first.
It did. Rich Dad's initial offer was very sharp. He said, look, I'll teach you, but only if you come work for me. No lectures, no theories.
And they had to decide fast.
Super fast. As he put it, opportunities come and go.
Yeah.
That was the first test,
A test of commitment.
Exactly. They chose to work instead
Yeah.
of playing in their softball game. But the work itself, it was designed to be demoralizing.
Dusting canned goods.
For 10 cents an hour, 3 hours, every Saturday. Mind-numbing stuff. A comic book cost a dime back then, so all that work got you 3 comics.
And after 3 weeks of that, he was done.
Oh, he was furious. Robert felt like a slave, totally exploited, ready to just walk out.
And this is where his poor dad's advice comes in, the conventional wisdom.
Right. The poor dad, coming from that traditional employee mindset, tells him, you demand a raise. Ask for 25 cents an hour. And if you don't get it, you quit.
It's the standard response, isn't it? Your labor is worth more, so demand more compensation.
It is. But when Robert confronts Rich Dad, all full of anger, Rich Dad just smiles.
Because that was the lesson.
That was the lesson.
Yeah.
He explains that life is the best teacher, and it teaches by pushing you around. He says most people just fight back. They blame their boss, their job, they fight for a bigger paycheck.
But they're fighting the wrong thing.
Exactly. Very few people welcome that push as a chance to actually learn something new and think differently. He created that frustration on purpose.
He wanted them to see that a raise wasn't the solution.
Not at all. The solution was realizing that you have to make money work for you. If you spend your whole life just waiting for the next raise, you're still completely trapped in that same mindset.
Okay, so that sets up this huge psychological turning point. To force the new mindset, Rich Dad he cuts the cord completely.
Yep. He tells the boys, I'm not paying you anymore. 0. They have to use their heads and figure out how to make money while working there for free.
That is a pressure cooker.
It's the ultimate test. And then, to really test their resolve, he starts tempting them. He offers a raise to 25 cents,
And they refuse.
then $1, then
Yeah.
$2, and finally the big one, $5 an hour.
And the source material describes Robert's reaction so vividly. His heart is just exploding with desire, picturing a new bike, a baseball glove.
That pull of immediate gratification is just, it's so powerful. He says he could have been the richest kid in the world for $5 an hour.
But something inside him just held on.
Something shifted. His mouth stayed shut. And that silence, that was the breakthrough.
Why? What did Rich Dad see in that moment?
He saw that the weak, needy part of their souls, the part driven by pure desire, had been silenced. It was replaced by the part of them that, had no price.
So they were finally able to step outside of that emotional reaction,
And see the mechanism that controls almost everyone else.
which he calls the rat race.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Rich Dad's definition of the rat race is all about its 2 emotional drivers, fear and greed. or desire.
Okay, break that down.
The fear of being without money makes people work incredibly hard for a paycheck. But then, once they get the money, greed and desire kick in.
The nice house, the new car.
All of it. And they spend the money, which makes them need more money, which means they have to work even harder. It's a loop.
And the fear never actually goes away.
Never. It's just a temporary fix. Their emotions are completely controlling their financial brains. They're just constantly reacting to the bill that's due or the new shiny thing they want.
Running faster and faster on the same treadmill.
That's it. So Rich Dad urged them to actually confront that fear and desire and use their minds to overcome them instead of just reacting.
And the proof that it worked, what did they do?
While they were working for free, they spotted an opportunity. Instead of just dusting shelves, they started a comic book library.
Huh. I love this part.
It's their first real-world application of making money work for them. They hired Mike's younger sister to be the librarian.
So they didn't even have to be there.
That's the key. Kids paid 10 cents for admission, which was a great deal since one comic cost that much anyway, and they ended up making $9.50 a week for 3 months.
From an asset, not from their own time.
They got it. They had won that mental game against fear and greed.
So after that, what's the next tool? Did he start teaching them about stocks or real estate?
No, not yet. It was something much more fundamental. Financial literacy. The boring stuff, accounting.
Right. Because without understanding the language of money, that first win is just luck. It's not repeatable.
Exactly. You have to understand the mechanics. So he simplified it all down to one core action. Buy assets.
But his definitions are key. They're not what you'd read in a textbook. What were the simple definitions he used?
It's all based on cash flow, which is so important. An asset is something that puts money in your pocket.
Simple as that?
And a liability is something that takes money out of your pocket. It creates negative cash flow from taxes and expenses.
And this is where the big one comes in, the thing that shocks everyone. The family home.
The classic American dream.
For most listeners, that's a really jarring idea. I mean, houses appreciate over time. How did he argue that a house isn't an asset?
He said appreciation is basically irrelevant if the monthly cash flow is negative.
Okay.
For most people, a house takes money out every single month. You have the mortgage, the property taxes, insurance, maintenance.
All of it. So it fits his definition of a liability perfectly.
Perfectly. He wasn't saying don't buy a house. He was saying you have to first buy assets that generate enough cash flow to pay for the house. The asset column have to finance the liability column.
It's the order of operations. That's what builds wealth, instead of just building up your personal overhead.
And that ties right into the windfall trap. The sources warn that more money doesn't solve your problems.
It usually just makes them bigger.
Right back to the rat race. Someone gets a big inheritance, a lottery win, a huge bonus, but they lack the financial education. So what happens?
The spending just goes up to match the new income?
Or exceeds it. They just upgrade the rat race. Bigger house, fancier car, and often even higher level of monthly anxiety.
So if being rich is so complicated, how do the sources define actual wealth?
Wealth is defined by time. It's your ability to survive for a certain number of days if you stopped working today.
So true independence.
That's it. You're wealthy when the passive income from your asset column can cover all of your expenses in your expense column. At that point, your time is your own again.
Which sets up the next lesson perfectly. Mind your own business.
A huge distinction. Your profession is what you do for someone else. You're a banker, a teacher, whatever, but your business is your asset column.
The Ray Kroc anecdote is perfect here.
Oh, it's brilliant. He was speaking to students. They asked what business he's in. They all said hamburgers.
Of course.
And he corrected them. He said, I'm in the real estate business. He knew the real value was owning the land at all those key intersections. That's focusing on your business, not just your profession.
And the sources are really clear that minding your business doesn't mean you should go quit your job tomorrow.
No, not at all, unless that's your specific goal. For most people, it means you keep your day job for the stability and the cash flow.
And you use your spare time and capital to build up that base of solid income-producing assets.
Exactly. You keep expenses low, you reduce your liabilities, and every spare dollar and moment goes into strengthening that asset column.
What were the specific asset categories mentioned?
The list is pretty clear. Businesses that don't need you to be there physically. Stocks, bonds, income-generating real estate, royalties from intellectual property like patents or books.
The key phrase there seems to be, doesn't require your presence.
That's everything. If you have to show up, it's not an asset, it's another job.
Which brings us to another big lesson. Work to learn, Don't work for money. This just flies in the face of the poor dad's advice to specialize.
It really does. The specialization trap is real. Poor Dad wanted Robert to focus narrowly on one thing, but that just makes you dependent.
And vulnerable.
Very. Rich Dad encouraged him to learn a little about a lot. The source material uses that great example of the journalist with a master's in English Lit.
Right, her novels were brilliant, but they never sold.
And when Robert suggested she take a sales training course, she was deeply offended. She felt she was too educated for that.
She was, as the consultant said, one skill away from greatness.
Exactly. She specialized in writing, but she completely ignored sales and marketing, the very skills needed to get her asset, the book, into people's hands.
The essential skills, Kiyosaki says, are managing cash flow, managing systems, and managing people.
With sales and marketing being the most important specialized skills you can have because they apply to everything. If you can't sell your idea or your product, it doesn't matter how brilliant it is.
So it's about taking that long-term view. Maybe don't take the highest paying job right out of school.
Right. Maybe take a lower paying job that teaches you sales or leadership or systems management. That could be infinitely more valuable down the road than a specialized role that just boxes you in.
Okay, so let's try to bring all these things together. The real deep dive here seems to be the realization that finance is. It's a game of mind management first.
Absolutely. Conquering fear and greed. That comes before the math or the money. The solution is financial intelligence and just a relentless long-term focus on building that asset column.
And this brings it all back to that very first emotion, fear. The fear of losing money when you invest.
Everyone has it. The difference is how you approach it. Most people, especially the cautious ones, play not to lose.
Which leads to those safe, sensible, balanced portfolios.
Which are not winning portfolios. They're purely defensive. Rich Dad taught that successful investors, they don't let the fear of loss stop them. They calculate the risk and they play to win.
And to do that, especially when you're starting, you might need to be a little unbalanced.
That's the idea. You might need to concentrate your efforts and your capital in a few high-potential areas to get that initial traction, that rapid growth. You can't win a race by just cowering in the starting blocks.
So the final thought for you to consider is this. What opportunities are you maybe overlooking right now? What actions are you putting off because you're letting cynicism, that little voice that says, I don't want to fix toilets, or that's too complicated,
Or just the paralyzing fear of loss.
or that fear keep you on the sideline? The first step to making money work for you is conquering the emotional fear that makes you work for money.
We hope this deep dive gave you some clarity and maybe a new perspective on seeing your job and your asset column not as the same thing, but as two totally independent entities.
We'll see you next time.